You know, the Detroit Pistons have quietly been putting together a really nice young team built around Cade Cunningham, who I think we tend to forget after missing pretty much the entirety of last season due to a shin injury. But now that he's back, they could potentially be in store for a really nice leap forward this year.
Yeah, I mean, this team for sure snuck up and put together a solid lineup of great young players. And it's crazy how not that many people are talking about them. And I do think a lot of that's because they only won 17 games last season. 17. And
Yeah,
obviously,
not
Cade
good.
Cunningham having that shin issue and needing surgery was a huge part of it, like you said. But moving into this season, they have made some notable changes, including the coaching changes and draft selections that could maybe be showing us a light at the end of the tunnel, the long, dark tunnel for Piston fans.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it's been a while for them. I mean, ever since they barely cracked the playoffs, I think back in 2018 with Blake Griffin, everything's been downhill after that, and it's been pretty rough. I mean, the Pistons aren't like the Kings where they didn't make the playoffs in 17 years up until this year, but it's been pretty dark for them going back to, the Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups days. But again, I think I agree with you. There's light at the end of the tunnel here. And Cade Cunningham missing a majority of last season may have kind of been a blessing in disguise. Yeah, it could have hurt his development a little bit, but I'm pretty high on him regardless. Though it did help Detroit gain the 5th overall draft pick, where they took Asar Thompson, another 6'7" point forward who can pretty much do everything on the court, and he looked really good during Summer League too. I'm very high on him, very high on Cade Cunningham, and also Jaden Ivey, who really benefit from Cunningham missing part of the year as well. It helped him be a little more ball dominant and get used to the speed of the NBA by having the ball more, and it overall helped his development, and he had a good rookie year. He put up 16.3 points, 5.2 assists, and played over 31 minutes per game during his rookie year, earning him first team all-rookie honors. And I'm really curious how they'll blend him, Cade Cunningham, and Asar Thompson together within their rotation.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of retouch on this. Like you said, I'm sure Piston fans probably feel like they got screwed over in the draft by getting the 5th pick, but I think getting Asar Thompson in the draft will turn out to be a super solid situation for them. And he had a slow start to Summer League, kind of like you said, but ended up finding his rhythm. And in his 3 games that he played, his stats are kind of crazy. He kind of did everything. He put up 7 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, and 1 steal in 27 minutes of play in his first game. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks over 29 minutes in his second game. And 17 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks in 31 minutes of his third and final game. I mean, come on, dude. He's doing everything. And I know it's just Summer League, yeah, but he's showing great promise and great league readiness, in my opinion. And I think the Pistons should be super excited to see how he develops. You also kind of talked about Jaden Ivey, and I do still think Cade Cunningham is the cornerstone of this team, kind of just to reiterate what you're saying. And they'll look to keep building around him. His 12 games last season kind of proved that he can score easily in the league as a guard. I mean, he averaged 26 and 6, which I think, he needs to be a little bit better three-point shooting and be a three-point threat. But having this team, the better three-point shooters that we'll get into here in a little bit, I think that that'll help his efficiency a lot better, and we'll see even a better version of Cade than we've seen yet. Before we continue, I just wanted to take a few seconds to talk about and invite you to join our NBA Discord server. Our JSM NBA server is full of hundreds of people who love everything NBA. Do you like instant news updates around the league, NBA memes, talking stats, or even live chatting with others during games? The JSM NBA server has got you covered, plus so many more things to do and see. Come check out the JSM NBA server for free. We'd love to see you in there. The link will be in the description below. Now let's get back to the video.
Yeah, I think that'll be really interesting to watch play out. How you mentioned like the Asar Thompson stat line during Summer League, that really makes you think, like, if you would show that stat line to somebody who has no idea who you're talking about, they would have no idea what position that player is playing, how tall they are, how big they are. Like, that stat line, it's pretty incredible from a point forward, point guard archetype kind of guy. He's got incredible potential. I never care about points per game during Summer League. I look at how a player is moving on the court, how comfortable they are getting to the spots that they need to be on offense and defense then too. And Thompson looked great. Everything from locking guys up on defense, dropping a poster. I can't remember on who, but that was pretty crazy. And he looked very comfortable on the court. I'm really excited to watch him during his rookie year. And then going back to how they'll blend him, Cunningham, and Jaden Ivey within their rotation, I think a lot of people are projecting all three of them to be in their starting lineup, but I'm not sure if that'll work right away. You touched on the three-point shooting from Ivey, and he's actually the best three-point shooter between the three of them right now, and that's really not saying a whole lot. Cunningham's working on his three-point shot a lot yet, and he'll probably be a little bit rusty coming back from injury. Azar Thompson's really not there yet with his three-point shot, and Ivey's only around 34%. And with a starting five of Cunningham, Ivey, Thompson, and then Bogdanovich and Jalen Duren, Bogdanovich would be the only really good three-point shooter in that lineup, and that just won't work in today's NBA. I'm really high on them, but do you think a starting lineup with all three of them would work?
I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure that it would. Like you say, in this type of an NBA, I think they're definitely be doing a lot of playing around, but they also have guys like Joe Harris and Alec Burks even, who has, is a bit older, sure, 32-year-old guy, but easily puts up double-digit scoring, comes in, gets a bucket, extremely efficient from three. We're talking 41% last season, and if you look over his whole career, he's in the upper 30s for his whole career, and I really didn't even know that he was that high and that efficient from three. So just kind of a silent three guy. So they might have to sacrifice having one of those guys that you mentioned in that five for someone that can be a knockdown three, and kind of split up the three-point shooting. And I think that they could do that easily with how Cade plays and how he can get into the lane and score and kick out and drive and stuff. So that's just kind of my opinion on that. I think that they'll be playing around a lot with lineups, and because you can't not have a three-point threat in this NBA right now. You absolutely cannot.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned all that, because I was going to get into the same thing. I don't think they can have all three of them in the same starting lineup unless miraculously they all shoot pretty well. And I love Alec Burks as a role player. I'm a little bit confused why Detroit kind of has accumulated all these veterans, but maybe they'll trade them down the line. But Alec Burks is a really good player, really good guy to have off their bench, and potentially even in their starting lineup, which I would do. I would probably go Cunningham, Ivey, Burks, Bogdanovich, and then Duren. I think that would kind of blend the offense and defense a little bit better. And given that Cunningham and Thompson and Ivey all kind of like to be ball dominant, even Bogdanovich a little bit too, that would kind of spread the wealth around a little bit more. Burks can completely play off the ball. He never needs to, even though he's actually a pretty good combo guard. But yeah, I think that would be good for them. Not that they'll, really be competing at like a top 8 seed level this year, but that's kind of another question. Like, what do you think their ceiling could be, even though they're probably not thinking that way as a rebuilding team? If everything kind of goes well for them, where do you think they could end up?
I could see them making a good push for the play-in for a 10th seed, 9th seed.
Yep.
It's just so hard to say, especially with the coaching changes that we kind of talked about before. I think that it's totally possible and totally plausible to even consider that. And I don't know, it's a big group of guys that haven't really played too much together, obviously, with like a lot of new faces, but it's so hard to say because last season they had 17 wins with the guys that they did have. But I'd like to think that they'd be right around that 9-10. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't think that's hard to believe at all. Like, we're talking best case scenario here, and given that the play-in tournament's kind of given teams that opportunity now, and if they see a way for them to kind of get in there, I could see them making a push for that. It would kind of take everything going well for them, which I don't even think, again, that they're really looking at here. They're just trying to take a leap forward in their young players' development, but they actually have a lot more talent than giving credit for. We talked about the young talent, Thompson, Cunningham, Ivey, and then they got good bets too, Bogdanovich, Burks, Joe Harris. They got a good blend of talent, and then I really like their front court too. That's kind of the next thing I want to get into here. They have 3 interesting front court projects with 2nd overall pick from 2018 Marvin Bagley, 2nd overall pick from 2020 James Wiseman, and then 19-year-old Jalen Duren. It'll be really interesting to watch how they unlock all three of their potential, with that being especially true for James Wiseman, given that he never looked quite right in Golden State, and he could either be a part of their future or a potential trade piece. That could be true for both him and Bagley, but it'll be really interesting to watch how it plays out this year for both of them. But in my opinion, Jalen Duren is the real prize here between them. He kind of looked like a baby Dwight Howard in his rookie year. Nearly average a double-double after January 1st as an 18-year-old, putting up 11.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 1 block per game in only 25.8 minutes per game. Again, They have a really interesting collection of talent all over the board, and I'm here for it. I'm really excited to watch it during this upcoming year.
Yeah, it's like you say, Jalen Duren, he's only 19 years old, man. That's crazy, averaging almost a nearly double-double. I think that he's going to be a very unsuspecting for a lot of NBA fans who don't really pay attention to the Pistons. You almost can't blame them, but I think he's going to be a huge surprise to a lot of people. I kind of am betting that he'll have a really big season.
Agreed.
And again, only 19, double-double. You talked about James Wiseman. He's only 22, which he feels older than that. I don't know if that's just me feeling weirder, but he feels older than that to me. And to me, he's not even close to his ceiling yet. And like you said, he didn't really look right in Golden State, but he's getting better and better every year, especially in terms of scoring and rebounding. And same with Marvin Bagley. He's kind of on a decline if you kind of look, but he's moving better than he used to, and he kind of plays a different role than he did in Sacramento. But he's kind of on a bit of decline for scoring and stuff like that and stats, but he still goes up and grabs boards. He gets the second chance points for them. He does what a big center is going to do. And lastly, I want to touch on Killian Hayes, who has been getting better and better every year at facilitating and scoring for them. He's not going to be a crazy upcoming guy, but he's going to be one of those guys that's consistent to help that second team. And it's going to go underrated, I think, for probably the whole year. But I think that he's kind of another one to watch out for. And overall, I'm extremely excited to watch the Pistons make some noise this year. And they're poised to make a pretty good splash and surprise a lot of NBA fans.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that. I'm glad you actually brought up Killian Hayes. I didn't bring him up before, but I really felt bad for him at the beginning of last year, how he was so inefficient and getting called the worst player in the NBA. And I mean, if we're being honest, like the numbers and the way he looked on the court, it really felt like it. But he had a really good second half to the year. I don't have it right in front of me, but I know he came out with around about 6 assists per game to only about 2 turnovers per game. Good 3 assist to turnover ratio there. Really good, like, pure point guard, and he's a pretty big point guard too. Another good young player for them. He's only 21, 22, I'm pretty sure. And another guy we forget about. They got a lot of young talent there. And even though we've kind of judged a few of them harshly, like Killian Hayes, or maybe forgot about them a little bit, like Cade Cunningham, they all have an opportunity to take a really nice leap forward this year. And even though the Pistons do have bets in Bogdanovich, Burks, and Harris, they are definitely going to prioritize their young talent here. And even if that means trading or benching their bets, I think they would do that to give them more opportunity. Unless, like I said, everything comes together and all of a sudden they're a top 10 to top 8 seed. That'll be pretty cool to see. I'm not sure if it'll actually happen, but regardless, I think the Pistons are going to take a really nice leap forward this year, especially in their development. I think they will start to garner attention. We're just trying to get a little bit ahead of the curve here, and I'm really excited to watch them this year.